What's up everyone? Welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video we're going to be going over MyLeague, week 1 results and week 2 matchups, along with an injury report basically. Alright, so the week 1 results went like this. Best defeated Sleeper 5-4. No category was truly close in this matchup, as it appears that Best had a 5-4 stranglehold over Seeper throughout the matchup. The only category that was actually close was blocks, and that was a differential of 4. And Seeper won that category, so Best could have actually gone 6-3 had he got 5 extra blocks. Next matchup we have is Mike defeating Jason 5-4, 0.0002%. That was the difference in this matchup. That was the difference between the field goal percentage in this matchup, and I feel like that's a pretty crazy ending right there. It went down to the final shot. So that, and along with threes, rebounds, and blocks, those were the other categories that were relatively close. Not as close as the field goal percentage. That came down to the final shot, like I just said. But it could have gone either way in the other categories as well. Next up we have is Jose defeating Adam 5-4. Field goal percentage, steals, excuse me, blocks, turnovers, and points were all close. Jose's team said screw projections, like completely. If you looked at the projections going into week 1, Jose didn't look very like he had a very good chance at getting the win. But his team went out there and he got a big W. So I feel like this is one of those reasons why projections are only going to take you so far, and we don't truly know what we have with our teams until they finally start playing. Alright, so next up we have is Skylar defeating Mark 5-4. Rebounds and blocks were the only close categories. The rest were won by a landslide. So Skylar managed to win rebounds by 6, and in doing so, he won the match. The last matchup we have is Rick and I tied 4-4-1. So COVID really hit our matchup hard, as Rick lost Harden and Wood for Oklahoma City game, and I lost Cousins for both matchups. So in the end, for me, the Lakers blowing at Minnesota last night, which was the last game of the week, resulted in the tie, as D'Angelo Russell and Beasley just had really, really horrendous performances. Like, they were just atrocious, and I got no support from them. And that's, to me, how the tie ended up. Now, had Harden played both their games and Woods played, I probably would have lost at least 5-4 going the other way. But I guess we're never going to know now. And this was the closest matchup by far throughout all the matchups, as it was close in threes, rebounds, assists, and steals. It was like three threes away from a different three threes of a differential, 4 threes. I think the rebounds were a differential of like 2 or 3. Assist is what we tied in, and steals were a differential of 1 or 2, maybe 3. But it was all very close in each of the matchups. So it's very, very curious to have known how this would have ended had COVID not hit our matchup the way it did. Alright, so before we get into the week 2 matchups, I'm going to quickly go over some injuries and load management reports, as I feel like if you're going to watch this video, you might as well get something out of it. So, Karl-Anthony Towns is first up on the list, and he's got a dislocated wrist. Now he's going to be week to week. I don't know when he's going to play again, but for MyLeague, that's a big blow to Seeper. Next up, we have Kwai Leonard, who has a mouth laceration. So if anyone who watched that Clippers game the other night, you saw blood everywhere. It was pretty crazy to see on the first week of the season. So he got pummeled pretty hard. But good news for Kwai Leonard fans is he's just day-to-day right now. So he should be likely to play. I believe their next game is on Tuesday. Next up we have is Rui Hachimura. I think he got poked in the eye in one of the games, but he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. By the way, so Kwai Leonard, Adam has Kwai Leonard, and it's not going to affect him that much with that. Hachimura, I believe Mike has him, and since he is a limited fantasy player, it shouldn't affect him too much either. Let's see. So now we have Draymond Green, who's dealing with some kind of foot issue, who's out for one more week. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head who has Draymond, but they're going to be dealing with him being out for another additional week, so he needs to go on the IR slot. Next up we have is probably our first big injury of the season, which is Spencer Dinwiddie. He's got a partially torn ACL in his right knee. His timetable is unknown, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for the season. He should be out at least 2 or 3 months. Next up we have is Kevin Love, who has a right calf strain. So he didn't play, and then he played, and then he left the Sixers game early after playing 9 minutes. So his status is unknown, and this is going to, I feel like this is going to be a continuation. I think it's going to be an ongoing problem since it's a calf strain. So for all you Larry Nance owners, he's definitely someone you want to hold on to, even if Kevin Love does play, and maybe you will take a hit on Nance every now and then. But I feel like Kevin Love is going to be missing quite a bit of time for the foreseeable future. Next up we have is Gallinari. So he's having a foot issue, and he's also day-to-day. So I think I read the report where he's planning on playing this week. All right, so next up we have is Clint Capella, who hasn't played yet this season. He's dealing with an Achilles problem, but he is probable for tonight's game, which is Monday's game. Next up we have is Jimmy Butler, who has right ankle stiffness, and his status is unknown. He just left the game. I forget who they played against, but he left the game early after halftime, and he didn't get back out on the court. That's really bad situation there. And I believe Skylar has Jimmy Butler, so it's a huge blow to Skylar as. Oh, excuse me. It's a huge blow to Skylar as Jimmy Butler had himself a game in the opener. With mainly it was the steals. He had 7 steals, so that was pretty nice. All right, so next up, this next player is probably on most people's in the free agent pool already, but I want to write him down for the deeper leagues, and that's Marquise Chris. He broke his leg in a Saturday scrimmage against the Bulls, so he's out for the season. They already called it. Even if he heals in 2 or 3 months, they're not going to rush him to get back into game shape. So he's done for the year, and so if you have him in your IR slot, make sure you drop him. Next up we have is Obi Toppin. So he's dealing with a calf injury, and he's out for at least this week, probably longer. And the last player on my list, I just want to make everyone aware. So this is Derek White, and he's been dealing with a toe problem. So I don't know how much you want to take into what Pop says, but Pop has stated to the media that his return is going to be soon. So it's not going to be dragging out. And by soon, I'm going to say the latest would probably be mid-January, but probably sooner than that. We should probably see him, if not in this week's matchup, the week 3 matchup. So guys, keep an eye out on Derek White. I know he's in a lot of people's free agent pool. You definitely want to look him up every day. Make sure he's still out and there's no news on him, because he's going to get swiped right up as soon as word gets out that he's on a return date. Like, you don't want to wait until after he plays. You want to pick him up before he plays. All right, and I also have the back-to-back load management players, and they consist of Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Victor Oladipo, Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose, and Blake Griffin. So if you own any of those players, it may be a rough season for you. I wasn't expecting Joel Embiid to sit out against the Cavs, and the Sixers got blown out. It was embarrassing. So I hope this isn't going to be an ongoing occurrence, but it very well may be. Anthony Davis, we expected that. He's only had a 71-day off season, so expect more load management off days for Anthony Davis. Victor Oladipo, same thing, because not for the offseason, but he's coming off another severe injury. Let's see. The Wizards already stated that Westbrook's not playing the second half of back-to-backs, or one game of the back-to-back, so no surprise to see him here. Derrick Rose, he's just getting a year older, and Detroit's not going to be very good, so you want to rest him for trade possibility. You don't want to wear him out. And last up is Blake Griffin, same thing as Derrick Rose. Detroit's bad. Blake Griffin has been the best player on their team so far when he does play, and they're still bad. So I think they're just resting those two aging players to try and get some kind of trade for them at some point this season before the trade deadline. All right, so now moving into our Week 2 matchups finally. First one, the first matchup we have is probably my matchup of the week I'm most excited about, and it is a rivalry matchup. It's Mark versus Mike. Now, I would say Mark has the slight edge going into this week as he has 3 additional players playing. Not only that, so he's favored in blocks and turnovers, while Mike is only favored in points. And then in the rest of the categories, it could literally go either way. So this matchup, I have no idea how it's going to go, but I would have to say if I was going to make a guess, I would say Mark's going to probably win. If he could get one of those percentages, he should win 6-3. If he doesn't get either one of those percentages, he should probably still win 5-4, unless Mike makes some strong waiver moves throughout the week to try and catch up to losing out on 3 players. All right, so our next matchup we have is Jose, who had a big win against Adam last week, and he's facing off against Steeper, who did lose in this past week. Not only did he lose, he lost Karl-Anthony Towns for the foreseeable future, so that's going to be a huge blow to Steeper. All right, so even though I wrote these the matchup breakdown, like who's favored and who's favored in what category, I actually feel like Jose is going to be the overall favorite in this matchup, as not only is Karl-Anthony Towns out for Steeper, Jose also has 6 additional players playing this week. So Steeper has to use that waiver wire very intelligently in order to try and pick up some of that ground, because it's going to be, I feel like this is going to be a rough week for Steeper, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jose can win 7-2. Or at the very least 6-3. But just looking at the matchup breakdown, Jose is only favored in rebounds, while Steeper is favored in both percentage categories and points. But it can also go either way in threes, assists, steals, blocks, and turnovers, which I feel like, even though that could go either way based on projections, I feel like Jose is going to be more favored in all of those. Now, in points, I feel like Steeper has the advantage there. Excuse me. I feel like Steeper has the advantage there. So the only thing really stopping Steeper is if you look at the field goal percentage, if he has a really poor week shooting the ball, he could really get blown out here. It could go 7-2, like I said. It could even go 8-1. Okay, maybe not 8-1 now that I'm looking. Steeper should probably still win free throws and points, but at least 7-2. I would not be surprised if Jose wins 7-2 in this category, or in this matchup. So, sorry. All right, for the next matchup, we have Skylar versus Rick. Now, this should be a pretty even matchup, as Rick has only 2 more players playing. So Skylar, I know he likes using the waiver wire, so he's probably going to play smart and pick up enough players to max out on that, even though I know Rick plays the waiver wire smart as well, but I do know Rick already used 2 of his waiver pickups for the week, so that may help Skylar pick up some ground against Rick, depending on what what days the players he picked up have games. So overall, in this matchup breakdown, Skylar is favored in threes and points, while Rick is favored in field goal percentage, rebounds, and steals, and it can go either way in free throws, assists, blocks, or turnovers. And that's exactly what I expect. I expect this to go 5-4 in some way, shape, or form. I expect this matchup to be close throughout. All right, so next up we have is Jason versus Best, and I feel like Best should be a significant favorite in this matchup, as Jason is favored in rebounds, assists, and blocks. Now, Jason is favored mightily in rebounds, pretty comfortably in assists, and even though, even though he's favored by 2.4 blocks, I feel like since Best has 5 more players playing this week, he might actually be able to pick up a little bit or enough to challenge for blocks since we get such low totals. And he may, I think rebounds is out of the question, but maybe if Best uses the free agent pool, maybe he could pick up some assists and actually challenge to win the assist category as well. So Best is also favored in free throw percentage, 3-pointers, and points. And I don't think the points and the threes are going to be any kind of competition. And you never know what's going to happen in the percentages, but odds are, given it that it's like a 7% differential, I do think Best should easily win those 3 categories hands down. And if his team shoots the ball well from the field and picks up field goal percentage, he could easily, he's probably going to lose turnovers, but he should easily be able to get more steals this matchup. And I would still bet on Best team based on having 5 extra players. I could easily see him getting a 5-4, 6-3 win. And for our last matchup, it's my team versus Adam. All right, so for the matchup breakdown, I'm favored in free throw percentage, threes, and points, while Adam's favored in field goal percentage, rebounds, steals, and turnovers. And the categories that can go either way are assist and blocks. Now, to start out the week, I have 50 players playing, while Adam only has 47, so I have a +3 in that realm. And that's going to be huge for me, not only because I'm going to have 3 extra players playing, but because Adam already used 2 of his waiver claims on players. So that's looking very good for me because even though it's only a 3-man differential right now, once I use some of my free agent waiver pickups, because I only used 1 so far, once I use more, I should actually pick up one or 2 more players playing. So in that regard, as long as my team doesn't shoot the ball from the free throw line poorly, I should be able to win what I'm favored in with relative ease. And we are close in assists, but I still feel like I should be able to pick up assists since I have more players playing. And even though we're actually technically tied for blocks, right now, about half my blocks are sitting on my IR slot. So even though it can technically go either way, I do favor Adam in this, even though I have more players playing, unless I go out and try and pick up some centers throughout the week. But I don't think I can do anything else other than that. Maybe I could pick up some steals, even though he has a 2-point steal advantage. Maybe that's just the best route I can go, and we're both the worst turnover teams in the league. So maybe if he has a really bad turnover week like my team's projected to have every week, maybe I could challenge him in turnovers. All right, guys, that is all I have in this video. I hope for my league mates, I hope this video helps you guys out for planning your week if you're going to use the waiver wire. And for anyone else who is watching, I hope the injury report helped you guys out to understand who's out, and in understanding who is out, maybe you can pick up someone that's going to be taking their place. All right, guys, remember to like and subscribe if you are interested in having more fantasy content, fantasy basketball content throughout the season from me. And that's all I got. So have a good day, guys.